You awaken in the darkness, where the air feels ancient and sick. Every breath drags in the dust of centuries, as if you are inhaling the memory of the dead. The walls of the temple whisper names once spoken with power, and then erased with shame. Deir el-Bahari breathes. Yes, but its breath reeks of betrayal. In the cracks, a name was carved, and then ripped away, as if it had never existed. You hear a voice, not human, not alive, asking, "What does it mean to die twice?" And in that echo you understand. The tomb remembers what the living fear. Golden light bleeds through the pillars of Thebes. You stand before the altar, your heart drumming beneath robes heavy with the scent of myrrh and oil. The air trembles with disbelief. The priests avert their eyes. They do not dare to witness a woman wearing the crown of Ra. Yet the crown is placed upon your head, cold as judgment, gleaming with the defiance of centuries. You lift your gaze, and in that moment, the silence becomes a storm. The drums slow, the hymns die. You speak the words no woman was meant to speak. I am Pharaoh. The temple gasps, as if creation itself has forgotten to breathe. Smoke from the incense coils around your face like serpents, sacred yet poisonous. The gold upon your brow feels heavier now, not as an honor, but as a burden carved in stone. You do not rise for power, you rise because truth demanded it. But truth in Egypt was a jealous god. Every act of defiance carries a curse stitched beneath its glory. Somewhere among the pillars, a whisper begins, that the Nile will reject its queen, that even the gods will turn their eyes away. And as the crowd kneels in trembling confusion, you feel the future shifting. The throne accepts you, but not without a wound. You are both the chosen and the condemned, crowned in divine light that already tastes of ash. Power changes you. It does not arrive like a storm. It seeps, slowly, like oil through cloth. Each morning you bind your chest, flatten your breath, and paint your face with the symbols of eternity. The false beard hangs from your chin, heavy as guilt. You tell yourself it is sacred, that to rule you must become what they worship. But beneath the linen and gold, your skin remembers. It aches to be seen, not as a god, but as a woman who dared to rule among men. The mirror no longer knows you. It reflects something divine, yes, but divinity carved from flesh always bleeds. You speak to statues now, and sometimes they answer. Their silence has a voice, their eyes a judgment you cannot escape. You tell yourself this is strength, but it feels more like surrender, a slow possession by the crown itself. The people kneel. The gods remain still. You have become both mother and conqueror, giver of life and dealer of death. The duality tears at you like unseen claws. Power does not love its vessel. It devours it. And somewhere deep within the temple walls, a whisper stirs, gentle, cruel, eternal. Every woman who becomes a god must one day be turned into dust. The desert opens before you, vast, silent, obedient. From its emptiness you command mountains to rise. Stone by stone the gods obey your voice. Temples bloom from the sand like colossal hearts, each beat echoing your name through the corridors of time. The chisels sing. The dust glows gold in the sunlight. You build not just for glory, but for permanence, for the illusion that your breath might outlive the wind itself. Columns stretch toward the heavens, painted with your image, the eternal Pharaoh, beloved of Ammonius. Yet beneath the magnificence, something trembles. For every wall that lifts you higher, another wall grows around your heart. The temples do not only keep memory, they keep fear. You wonder, in moments of solitude, if eternity is not a blessing but a prison made of your own ambition. What is the point of eternity? The voice inside you whispers. If it can be shattered by envy, you know the answer too well. The same hands that build altars will one day carve them down. The same mouths that praise will one day speak curses in secret. And though the statues still rise and the hymns still echo, you can feel a shadow moving between the stones. Quiet, patient, and certain. Someone is already writing the story of your erasure. The air grows heavy, thick with incense that no longer smells of devotion but of decay. You offer gold, wine, and prayer, yet the gods do not answer. The torches flicker against walls that once glowed with favor, now dim and uncertain. Somewhere deep within the sanctum, a statue weeps, red streaks trickling down its stone cheeks. The priests whisper that it is a sign. You already know what it means. Ammonius has turned his face. At first, you deny it. You command more offerings, grander processions, rivers of perfume to sweeten divine wrath. But each morning the sky darkens earlier, the sun burns colder. The sacred birds fall silent on the temple roofs. Even the wind avoids your name. Faith begins to taste like dust on your tongue. You kneel before the god's image, and in the silence you hear something breathing. Not mercy, not comfort, but something ancient and watching. The divine has begun to rot, and its stench seeps into you. You ask yourself, did I rise too high, or did I merely reach where no woman was allowed to stand? The priests say the gods grow jealous of courage. Perhaps they are right, for in their silence, you can feel their envy sharp, unseen, divine. And when holiness begins to bleed, horror is all that remains. He watches from the shadows, a child draped in silence. His eyes follow you across the temple halls, curious, reverent, unreadable. To the world, he is your stepson, your ward, the boy who bows at your feet and repeats your titles with obedient grace. But behind that grace, something older stirs. Every smile he offers hides a blade sharpened by patience. You see him watching the rituals, studying the way your hand lifts the scepter, how the priests kneel when your voice fills the air. You tell yourself he admires you, that he will one day understand what it costs to hold a kingdom together. Yet there is a flicker in his gaze, a cold reflection that whispers otherwise. He does not see a mother or even a ruler. He sees an obstacle carved in gold. At night, the torches paint his face in firelight, and for a moment, he looks almost divine. Too still, too calm, as if the gods have already chosen him. The servants say he prays for your health. The walls say he prays for your silence. You can feel his future pressing against your own, quiet but inevitable, like the shadow that lengthens before sunset. Every heir dreams of inheritance. Some dream of vengeance. And in his eyes you can already see which dream will live. The festival burns with gold and noise. Music spills from every hall. Laughter trembles through the air like fragile glass. Perfume, wine, and smoke weave together until even the gods might mistake it for heaven. You sit upon your throne, radiant beneath the torches, surrounded by priests, dancers, and worshippers who chant your name as if it were a spell. Yet behind the applause, something fractures. Everywhere you look, mirrors, polished bronze, obsidian, pools of still water. And in each reflection, a different face stares back. One wears the calm of a pharaoh, another, the sorrow of a forgotten woman. You do not know which is real anymore. The jewels on your wrists feel like chains, and the crown on your head hums like a secret that wants to escape. You raise your cup, smiling for the crowd, but the wine tastes like blood. You laugh, yet the sound does not belong to you. Around you, the dancers spin faster, their movements blurring into ghostly shapes. The air thickens, the gods, the people, the mirrors, all watching, all waiting. How long can a lie stay divine? The question crawls through your mind like a serpent. You look again into the mirror, but this time the reflection smiles before you do. And somewhere deep inside, the paranoia begins to bloom. You can smell betrayal before it speaks. It moves through the temple like incense, sweet at first, then choking. The air grows dense, clouded with whispers and the quiet rustle of footsteps that stop when you turn your head. Faces you once trusted bow lower now, their smiles too polished, their silence too long. One by one, your advisors begin to vanish, some to illness, others to accidents that feel rehearsed. The corridors echo not with prayer, but with fear wearing perfume. You walk through your own palace as though through a tomb. Every torch burns shorter, every shadow lingers longer. You taste iron in the air, the scent of deceit hiding beneath the fragrance of devotion. Offerings rot before dawn, the sacred oils sour overnight. You begin to realize that faith is not dying, It is being murdered piece by piece by those who once swore to protect it. Your throne no longer feels like stone. It feels like a trap carved from loyalty's corpse. You search the faces around you and see only reflections of ambition. Hollow, glittering, hungry. The gods remain silent, but the mortals around you have learned to speak in poison. The incense thickens, curling like a serpent around your throat. And as it burns, you understand, the empire you built is turning to ashen hands that once kissed your ring. Morning arrives without music. No hammers, no chants, no sound of stone becoming immortal. The workers have stopped. The air that once rang with creation now hums with absence. You walk among unfinished statues, faces half-formed, eyes sealed in eternal sleep. Sand trickles from their mouths as if the gods themselves are bleeding into dust. Every echo feels like a heartbeat that has forgotten its rhythm. You reach your throne, but it greets you with coldness. Once it felt alive, warm with power and purpose. Now it is just rock, indifferent, unfeeling, heavy with the weight of a kingdom that no longer answers your call. The gold around you seems dull, the torches dim. Even your own reflection avoids your gaze. You kneel before the altar, whispering the old prayers, offering words that no longer rise. The silence answers, vast, hollow, infinite. You lift your eyes toward the heavens, searching for a sign, a flicker, a single breath of acknowledgement. But the sky remains blank, pale, and merciless. A thought coils inside you like fear turned human. Perhaps divinity was never love, only attention. And now that attention is gone. The gods have turned their faces away, and the world has followed. You reach for faith and find only emptiness, soft as sand slipping through your hands. The end comes without warning. No trumpet, no omen, no cry of mourning. Only a stillness that thickens the air. You lie upon linen sheets, the scent of oils heavy around you. Somewhere beyond the walls, the desert wind moans like a dying god. Your heartbeat flutters, faint and uneven, as though the body itself is uncertain whether to stay or surrender. The servants move like ghosts, silent and trembling. One brings water. Another lights incense that burns too quickly, filling the chamber with smoke that curls like forgotten prayers. You cannot tell if the pain beneath your ribs is illness or poison. It no longer matters. The breath that leaves your lips feels borrowed, your pulse a fragile echo between worlds. You look toward the doorway, expecting someone. Perhaps mercy, perhaps memory. But only the wind enters, carrying the dust of the empire you built. Your hand reaches out, fingers brushing the empty air where your crown once rested. There is no fear now, only the weight of everything unsaid. Your eyes close, not in peace but in surrender. The world holds its breath. The heart slows, then fades beneath the whispering sand. For a moment there is nothing, no gods, no glory, no name. Then, faintly, from somewhere deep within the darkness, your name calls out once, trembling, defiant, before being swallowed whole. You awaken again, but not in flesh. You are air, wandering through corridors of stone that no longer know your name. The walls you built, the halls that once trembled with your voice, now hum with silence. You search for your body, for your tomb, for the faintest mark that says you were here, but every carving has been struck away, every image chiseled into oblivion. The sound of your footsteps does not echo. Even the stone refuses to remember you. You move through chambers that smell of dust and time. Statues that once bore your likeness now stare blankly, their faces smoothed by blades meant to erase. Your spirit touches them, desperate for warmth, for memory, but the stone recoils. You realize that death was not the end. Oblivion is. You cry out, but no one hears. You reach for light, but it hides. The air itself feels like denial. You are trapped between existence and forgetting, condemned to wander a history that has erased its own queen. And then, in the hollow dark, the truth breathes against your ear. The worst death is the one without witnesses. The words linger like frost, sealing you in a silence even eternity will not break. The sound comes first, hammers against stone, a rhythm of unmaking. Dust fills the air, thick and choking. as men climb the sacred walls you once blessed. They strike without hesitation, their blows echoing through the temples like a perverse hymn. With each strike, your face crumbles. Nose, eyes, mouth, until the goddess they once adored becomes nothing but fracture and dust. Thutmose watches in silence. The boy from the shadows has become the master of them. His gaze is calm, almost reverent, as if each swing of the hammer cleanses a sin. The priests chant behind him, their voices trembling between devotion and dread. To erase her is to cleanse Egypt of its shame, they say, but in the cracks of their voices hides another truth. To erase her is to cleanse Egypt of itself. The air burns with the scent of limestone and memory. Statues fall. Inscriptions vanish. Your name, once carved beside the gods, becomes a wound upon the wall. The workers cough, blinded by dust, yet they keep striking, faster, harder, as if destruction itself is a prayer. But destruction remembers what it kills. The dust that rises carries your image into the sun, scattering it across the sky. Each hammer that silences your name only teaches the wind to whisper it. And though your monuments fall, Egypt will never again be clean. You drift through the underworld, weightless and unseen. The sky here is not black, but colorless. A vast, silent expanse where even light has forgotten its name. The path beneath you winds through temples of bone and shadow. The canopic jars stand open, empty. The guardians gone, their silence a cruel judgment. You call out, but your voice dies before it leaves your lips. The air does not carry sound here. It carries forgetting. The gods sit upon their thrones of obsidian, motionless, blind. You kneel before them, offering the only thing you have left, remembrance, but they do not respond. Their faces are masks without eyes, carved from the same void that swallows prayers. The scales of Maat wait, but no heart rests upon them. You were erased in life, and now even death does not know you. You pass mirrors that reflect nothing, altars that burn without flame. Each step takes you deeper into absence, where memory unravels like thread in the dark. You begin to wonder if this is the true punishment. Not torment, but invisibility. Somewhere, a whisper stirs, faint, fragile, like wind through hollow stone. A name trying to remember itself. It flickers, almost yours, then fades. And as you drift onward, you realize the truth. Eternity is not endless life. It is endless being forgotten. The desert exhales. After 3,000 years of silence, the dust stirs like breath returning to a forgotten lung. Shovels bite the sand where temples once stood proud, and the earth begins to whisper. Faint, trembling, but unmistakable. Her name, long buried beneath the arrogance of kings and the weight of centuries, rises again like smoke from the tombs. Fragments emerge. A broken cartouche, a shattered statue, the outline of a sarcophagus crushed by time. The archaeologists brush away the dust, unaware that what they uncover is not just history, but memory reclaiming itself. Each grain of sand seems to sigh. You can erase the body, but not the echo. The sun falls upon her relics, warm and golden. A cruel mercy for someone who once commanded light itself. Her story is told again, in papers, in whispers, in awe. The world finally speaks her name, Hatshepsut, but there is no triumph here, only the quiet ache of resurrection too late. She will never know that she was remembered, never feel the warmth of being seen again. And yet, the desert smiles, for even in ruin she endured. In the end, dust always returns to dust. But some dust remembers. You who watch this now, listen carefully. You think remembrance is mercy, but it is not. To remember the dead is to open their silence again, to invite them back into the room they once tried to leave. Hatshepsut is not gone. She lingers between breath and dust, feeding on the thoughts that resurrect her. Every whisper of her name gives her shape again, not in flesh, but in longing. That is the curse of remembering. Each memory becomes a mirror, and in it, the dead return, watching, waiting. She once sought immortality through monuments, believing that to be seen was to endure. But immortality is not peace. It is an echo that never ends. Her story survives not as life, but as haunting. And now you are part of it. You have spoken her name. You have brought her back. Somewhere in the endless dark of history, a queen's eyes open once more, not in glory, but in ache. Remember her. But know this truth. Every act of memory is an act of resurrection. Every echo is a wound reopened. Even the forgotten still wait to be named.